are so many groups telling so many stories, but what I've noticed is that it's really hard for us to digest more than one view. So my question is, why don't we want more ambiguity? And I think that we don't want ambiguity because that's not the story that we're used to. We're used to the hero genre, in which the players' roles are all easily understood and the ending is predictable, the good guy always wins, that sort of thing. But telling more than one story, telling the story of Goldilocks from the bear's perspective, or telling the story of Hurricane Sandy from a biologist's perspective, those multiple tellings undermine a sense of good and bad. And because of this, the dichotomy breaks down.
And when this dichotomy breaks down, what is left? Is it truth? What happens when more and more stories of the same circumstance or the larger story are compiled? Do patterns emerge, or are the patterns broken down?
I don't really know how to answer this. I want to say that we get closer to the truth when we have more stories, but then I'd have to try and define what truth is. And I really can't do that. And I can't do that for anyone except myself. And then I also have a hard time doing it for myself. But I think, in my experience, having multiple stories and multiple representations means that I can be selective. So even if I can't figure out what the truth is, I can choose the story that makes the most sense to me. And at the same time, I don't have to throw anything out. So I'm like working on a tolerance for ambiguity. But what do you think? What do you mean by patterns?
Well, I think generally speaking, when we look at different stories and different angles and perspectives of one larger picture, generally you can see patterns in that. And I think this is essentially what a lot of our society is based on as well. I mean, especially in academics, like if you look at any kind of field, all that we do is we find stories and we look for patterns, and these patterns that emerge are what we then research and study and claim to be as fact, or put in textbooks and publish in articles. So for example, in the field of science, looking for patterns is what experimentation is exactly all about. And by finding the patterns that emerge through experimentation, we come closer to understanding the larger abstract picture.